Aloha, my beautiful friends on the other side. My name is Crystal Ra Laksmi, coming to you from San Diego, and call myself an abundance anthropologist. Believe that we all have treasure boxes inside. Once we open them, we can start to manifest our inner fairy tales into our dreams in this reality on our terms. Welcome to this week's episode, and today's topic will be very exciting. I was considering to do this as a live, but recently I probably need to relearn how to do Facebook Lives because many things have changed. And today's Estonian live was basically a disaster. So I'm pre-recording this video, and I so hope and know that this can give you a lot of value. So this topic, again, I got inspired by one of my clients and acquaintances, and I have noticed this is an issue for so many people nowadays. So I thought to make a little video about this and give some tips and tools from my own experience as well, working with people for so many years, so that you could also look deeper into yourself. What is it you desire and how you would like to create your life and your relationships. So the title in Estonian was Is he married or is she married? And the pain and pleasure of secret relationships. So in Estonian it actually sounded much better. Salasuhte võlu ja võlud ja ilud või valud. It's different in English, but okay, let's dive in. So in general, this topic is actually a taboo topic. We don't really talk about secret relations or outside of marriage relationships really publicly. This is something which is like hush hush, like don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. But I think we are getting into a time now where things need to be talked about openly, and also we have to figure out how not to do those things which don't work for us anymore. So it's a real wake-up call. So if you go back in time into prehistoric times, so men and women coexisted, and they created unities as families, and it was just basically a very practical thing to do. They at some point started to do rituals which later developed into marriages, and right now marriage is an institution which is also legally protected. So in general, this is the main purpose of marriage for many countries and many places, to actually protect those people who are in that institution, and then of course all the children, everyone who is in that family. So now we are entering into a new time where many of these institutions and regulations or even agreements or laws may not really work at some point anymore, or if they work for some people, then some other people want to create their own institutions or their own ways of doing things. So, and because this is the way evolution is going, we should all be pretty open and tolerant about those ideas, because this is where the world is heading. So everyone has different preferences, but what I'm gonna share today are lots of my experiences and what I have learned personally, as well as working with my clients, and what's the essence of it, what I share with you, and what you could do about that. So number one thing before I start to really dive in is basically I'll ask you all to sit down, and even now when you're watching this video, maybe press pause and just write the answer to this question. So have you thought what kind of relationships you would like to have, so that you would say, like, I'm really completely happy? Or what are those relationships which you can say, these relationships work on my terms? And this doesn't mean that everyone has to do everything the way you want, but you're pretty clear what you want, what your mission is, what your vision is, and that other person or other persons who are with you know it very clearly, and you co-create it together. So that's basically what this means. So the problem right now is why we have so many people also divorcing is so many people actually go into marriages or get married without really doing deeper work with themselves and asking those questions. And it's also basically like almost like cookie cutter thing, you know, my parents were married, so I will get married. And for many girls, it's also, you know, one way to ask, you know, um, uh, basically to live that romanticized, you know, idea of getting married and being beautiful this one day and having this party like celebrating you in a way. And there's so many other ways you can do it. It doesn't need to be getting married per se. So it's just up to you. But many people haven't really given it the thought that way. So um, now I will share what would be, you know, the both ends of the secret relationships. Then I will also explain, you know, what kind of, especially here I focused on women because I'm a woman. This is my experience mostly, but it oftentimes also may work for men, you know, if a man is choosing secret relation as well. And then I will give some tips. I'll share also some of my experiences and also give some questions what you can do yourself so that you can start to create relations on your terms. So when we talk about secret relationships and what are the pleasures of it, so it's usually very exciting and you produce a lot of adrenaline. So you always may have a danger that you may kind of get caught, which also may raise that excitement extra, you know. You may not have a future with this relationship, and that may create like a fake feeling of freedom. Why I say fake feeling, it's because it's not gonna last for very long, very often. So it is a possibility to explore yourself during that. But my recommendation is, why do you need to do it with the married person? You could do it with a single person. So the, you know, possibilities are much better and higher there. So you will never know where it's gonna go and what's the future of it. So basically you can be like what they call like a gray zone, relationship zone. So you can just have fun, have it as a friend with benefits, whatever name you call it. But in the long run, most people are not built that way. So you probably will get hurt. So, and then of course it gives opportunities for adventures, and also it is so many times people's way of kind of living out or materializing their fantasies. So they kind of use it as such. So of course there are many more, but I'll go now to the pains of secret relations. So these relationships usually have no future. So it's also, you basically start to waste yourself. You may be very nervous and also very scared. Maybe someone saw something, you know, what's going on. You are actually lying to yourself. You are also reducing your value, and you go against yourself. And also you may have like regular inner conflicts all the time, which influences your outside relationships as well. You feel that you don't get what you deserve fully, and you live you actually start to build a foundation for your future or dreams on something which will be built on sand and may collapse in the end. So like maybe you meet married man, and that man is saying, yeah, I will divorce, and it will actually never happen. And 20 years later you're like, oh my god, what happened, you know. So there is a danger of you to get really hurt. Your heart may break. You may also end up completely alone and completely empty, so to say, and you basically work against yourself. So as you saw, like just thinking about it, I got so many more pains than pleasures, and that's usually the case. So before I go, what kind of people choose, secret relations, I wanted to share some of my own stories. So if you're asking like, who are you, Crystal, to talk about this, then I would say my big relationship, which really meant a lot to me, with the father of my son, ended in 1999. How it actually ended, so first came out that I was completely faithful, and I went to the woman doctor and realized like I had got the sexual disease. So I talked to my partner at the time, we were not married, and it so came out that he has been sleeping with another woman, and our relationship was over. So I got the bonus gift. So of course I had to heal myself and get rid of that disease, but that may be the story for many women. Many women just are not sharing it publicly. So and then after that happened, I was broken, because for me family was everything. My parents broke up when I was 6 years old. My father never actually recovered from that. He really loved my mother. My mother was all over the place, and she seemed to have many partners at the same time. So at the time in the mid 70s, people were not really openly practicing, several like polyamorous relationships in Estonia, in Soviet Estonia at the time. So that wasn't the case. So they divorced, and that was that. So I grew up as someone from divorced parents. I saw the pain. My dad basically tried to drown his pain into alcohol for the rest of his life, and died because of that in the end. So it's a very traumatic, thing. So I started to look for my Mr. Right in 2000, and I was looking for him all over the world. I traveled to 30 countries. I believed he existed somewhere, and I looked for him for 14 years. And it was actually, I was very desperate so many times. And during these searches, of course, I developed and got into many relationships, and some of them were really extreme. So one of those, which I actually, it's so funny how our psychic kind of possibilities or abilities work. I actually completely forgot that detail, but I was in a secret marriage, which meant I got married to my partner at the time, who was ashamed to get married to me because his parents didn't approve what I was doing. I was working with people and doing spiritual work and so on. So he didn't want to look bad in their eyes. So we got married secretly, and we were married for like 3 or 4 years secretly. So that was like crazy. Like I was like, oh my God, like how could you even do it, Crystal? So but I so loved him, and he was such an amazing person in so many ways. But of course, that relationship didn't last very long, and in the end, also the way it ended was really weird. Like that time we didn't have Facebook yet, but we had something called Orkut, similar to Facebook. So he had actually changed his social status from married to single, and didn't tell me. So once I got there and figured that out, I was in shock. I was married to someone who changed his status without, telling me. And that's just one of the stories I've experienced. So you can imagine. So I was in shock, and wanted the divorce after that. I was like, okay, that's crazy. So and later I started to really explore my sexuality. And what happened then was I had to go into many relationships to figure out who I am sexually, because I didn't really know. When I was growing up from 12 years till like 18, I couldn't really experiment a lot with sexuality or, figure out who I am sexually. So most young people, when they get to this age, this is the age where they should explore, figure out what works, what doesn't work, what they want, what they don't want, and so on. And do it safely as well, don't do mistakes and so on. But most places, we don't think that our children should do that early. So we suppress it, we say that's a taboo thing, and then we get all these like broken people who are going into relationships. So my point here is, if we would guide them in a very healthy and conscious way, also maybe even introducing tantra to them, they could be able to explore who they are, and then also go into relationships what they choose and do and create on a conscious level. So that was the case in my case. So after that relationship ended with the father of my son, I started to experiment and try out different things, and figured out like, oh my god, I'm actually bisexual. I can be sexually with men and women, separately or together. And it was really overwhelming. And also there was a time where I started to do tantra. It seemed like men were coming into my life, and I was just like a hotel. Like, they met me, they were with me for a very short period, and then they left me, and then their life took completely off. They found their dream partner, they got married, they had kids, they had like this multi-million dollar deal, all of these things started to happen, and I was like, what the heck is wrong with me? Why can't I keep them, and what's going on? And I went to my healer in Hawaii and talked about it. And what happened was, I basically figured out that he was also telling, one of your life missions is actually to activate and help people to get activated, this way. And this doesn't mean you have to jump into relationships with all of those men, or women. So that was a good point. So it took quite a time to get to that point, that now when I see someone coming into my life as an opportunity to get deeper involved, I know like whether they are consciousness partners or what's their point, what's their story. I can tap into the past life I've had with them, what lessons I've learned, what do I need to change, and so on. I don't need to jump into relationship with them to figure these things out. I can figure this out distantly, and that saves me so much more time, energy, love, all of these things. So, but it's been a journey, like 20 years journey. So, but I'm really glad that I've got to that level. So next big relationship was actually with a woman who was married, and this was really this was a long relationship for several years. And when I realized, she told me that if my husband finds out that we have a relationship, then he's gonna probably come and kill you. And I thought like, wow, I don't want to live in that kind of danger. Like, why am I even in here, And I stated my ultimatum to her. I said like, okay, I'm ready to go up and out front, public with this relationship also. So let me know if that's the thing, and if not, then I can't continue like this secretly anymore. And there was a possibility they had lots of assets together. If she would have gone through it, she could have actually started her life and bought a new investment property in Hawaii, and started his her life there with me, but she didn't have balls enough to do that. So she just didn't. So we had to break up. So that was a huge learning curve. But there was a time where me and then my female partner at the time, and my male partner at the time, we all lived together in Hawaii for a little bit, and this was really amazing. We all had very clear agreements. Everything was working. So it's a good point to kind of like, when you know what you want, you can create the relationships what you want and be happy with everyone in there. And it worked really well for me because I had the masculine and feminine. I had both energies there, and it worked like really beautiful for me. So that was a good experience. So I knew like, oh, this could work for me also in the future. We had to like go all into our different directions, so that was not a long-term thing, but it gave me lots of experience and ideas. So later I started to attract more and more these like married people, and I was like, what's going on with this, so this is also connected to our patterns. We maybe don't believe deep inside that we fully deserve love, and we fully deserve like allowed love, not like forbidden love. So I attracted several people who were really like high executives, and doing these secret fantasy relations with me, and there was never a future. It was always I was like the second thing, and I realized like it's not what I want. I want deepness, I want depth, I want to be public. I want to shout out to the world, this is the person I'm with, like I'm proud of having him in my life, and I want this person to do the same. So as I was getting clearer with that, I started to write something I call self-declaration. Like every country has its like declaration or manifesto of declaration, what's how it's gonna function. So I did kind of the similar thing with my own country or myself. And one of the first things I put there was if I'm meeting someone who is already married, I want their partner's written agreement that I can go out with them, and if not, then I want to see their divorce paper. And even if we don't plan to get married, I want that divorce paper so that I know that everything is cleaned out and there is nothing old kind of hanging in the closet. So that was my thing. And once I put that down, the universe sent me like bunch of like married men to test me. There was someone who was married and was saying like, Crystal, would you like to be my my lover? And I said, no, I can't. I'm not doing this anymore. And this person is actually till this day married and in an unhappy marriage. And his reason most probably is he's really afraid to lose all his assets. So that's why he's just there and just hoping that one day something happens and so on. And it's just so sad because he's like a really amazing person. He could have a new life, even at his age where he is. So but people are afraid. They are attached to their things and assets and whatever. So that's the thing. And when we got together with Michael, so Michael had just actually realized that his partner had kind of got a new lover, and that information came suddenly after 23 years married, and he was devastated. So he traveled to Mexico to work on his boat to clear his mind, and that's where we met. So I was in that state where I was like, I'm not looking for anyone, I'm done with men. And he just came, he treated me so well, he was so kind, he was such a royal king. I just couldn't help it but, falling in love with him. And as this was happening, he was not quite sure whether he was done with his marriage or not, and we went into the gray zone situation. It was like, oh, let's just have fun and get to know each other and we'll see where it goes and so on. And I realized like, this is not me. I'm not someone's second, and I'm not someone's rebound. And someone second, especially like secret second, I can be a second, but openly, transparently. So I realized those things, and I said, sorry, I can't do it this way, and seems that things are not quite clear with your ex. Maybe you need to go and check it out. So that's what he did. He's not the kind of guy who is just like quitting things. So he went back and tried to fix it, and it didn't work because she still was seeing him, the other guy. So when Michael came back and said, I want to get to know you more again, I said, okay, now I want to see that divorce paper, and then we'll look what else is possible. And that's what we did. So after that, we took it very slowly built up our relationship. And as this was happening, we got really clear that we have lots of similarities as persons and characters. We have similar mission and vision, and we are also very similar type of people. We're both entrepreneurs as well and travelers. So it was very easy to make things happen. It was very easy and fun to be together. So all of these things were like, okay, this is relationship material. And then we took it to the next level, and only this way we have been able to create a very strong foundation. And after that foundation was strongly built and in place, then we opened up. We have an open relationship. Then we opened up it to other relations and connections. So this is the way we have figured out what kind of relation we would like to have, and this is where we are. So we have created a marriage. Of course, we have the legal paperwork and so on, but we also have created our own contract for 5 pages, where we have written down all the things, what we expect of each other, what we would like to have and desire, and then we have other things which are actually complementing all this. So it's very clear. There is no presuming or assuming. Everything's very clear. And if something is not clear, we always talk about it right away and clear it away. So this is how it works, and this is a new time relationship. So if you ask what's new time, Crystal, I got into aura transformation. Anni Sennav is behind that. Sadly, she passed away last year. But she believed, the world is all going into indigo crystal and golden energies. And since 95, indigo children were born. So if you have been born before that time, you can upgrade your aura through aura transformation. Or now I also have developed a new technique alternative for that. So you can do those things and basically get into the new energy. And once you get into the new energy, there are certain processes which start to happen. Your body and spirit will kind of melt together. You have more intuition and stronger intuition. You will start to attract consciousness partners, and after you have gone through several of those, usually you will attract your spirit mate finally into your life. And after you have found your spirit mate, your life mission and global mission will also be on a higher scale. So you can start to fulfill your life mission on every level. So this is also what I mean with new time energies and new time relationships. We can create the life we like on our terms. And as you are in the spirit energy, then your spirit knows better where to be, where are the right people, where are the right circumstances, so that you can start to create this life. So one of the reasons also me and Michael, we moved to San Diego, was that there is a big Tantra community here, and we would like to become part of it, and also figure out if we have some other new relations evolving from that, because we have an open marriage. So that's how it's possible to create relations in this time. But now to finalize, I will maybe I'll give some here, some examples of what kind of women are choosing secret relations. So when I say those things, it's not that I'm judging anyone. I'm just saying it from my own experience and from many of my clients' experiences. And these are the things you can also think like, am I like that or am I not like that? So you know, like, where you are. So secret relations are for those women, and those women choose it, who have not really totally healed their wounds. So from other relationships or also childhood. So it's just repetitive patterns over and over again. So these are also women who are afraid to stay alone. They don't know what their dream relationship with themselves or others would be. They don't know how to set boundaries. They haven't done the self-declaration. They don't allow themselves or don't have the courage to show their love 100% openly. They have the forbidden love syndrome, which means they attract the love they can't really have, which is also connected to victim energy very many times. They don't treat themselves as a queen, and then that is why they attract men who take them as backup versions or rebounds or victims. So they are not energetically full themselves. They always think that someone else is filling them, and they are ready to do whatever it takes to get a little extra attention or a little extra sex, So they actually kind of like close your one eye and it's kind of, oh, it's okay, it works. It's not that big a deal. But it is, because you don't feel that you really fully get what you deserve. And then women who go against their heart, I would even say women who go against their yoni, your sexual organ, and women who don't wish, self-sustainable relationships, because secret relations usually are not self-sustainable. And these relations are also like one kind of one-day deal or short-term deal. So and these women don't allow themselves to go deep or deep dive into relationships or love. And there are actually so many more. I have like maybe 15 more characteristics, but it's already giving you quite many ideas what this is about. So basically, if you want to really figure out what those relations are for your terms, define what kind of relationships you want, what is that dream relationship for you with yourself and others. So also define what is free love for you if you want open relationships. And my suggestion is, if you want open relationships, first take at least a year with yourself, then just to work with yourself, do therapies and so on. I have a really cool program for that, inner family program, and then I have some others which can actually fill up your whole year working with yourself. And also once you have managed that, if you find your partner, create a very strong relation with that partner, and then after this foundation is very strong, only then start to create other relations on the side. And then that means also, of course, if you go that way, that free love way, that means also that you have to have a very conscious and mature partner, and you yourself have to be that as well. So it's a huge process. So many people just jump into it, have no idea what they're doing, and then you will get so hurt, and it's so painful. Believe me, I've been there so many times. So what is for you mature love and conscious love? So kind of think exactly what that is. And what's that dream relationship on your terms? What is that? So write those things down, and as you write those things down, this is the time for you to basically start to realize those things, and also set the boundaries, and set yourself, stand your ground, and also declare to the universe, to the world, that this is what you would like to have, and also for the universe to understand that that's who you are. So to finalize this, I wouldn't have become the queen I am today. And when I say queen, I don't mean that in a bad way. I think every woman is a queen, every woman has a queen inside. For me, the queen in the new time energy is a woman who is fully conscious, fully connected to the maturity they have, fully knowing who they are, or at least working with it very consciously all the time, and also knowing what they want and how. And that's what this is for me, and the same with the king. So I couldn't really start to attract those real kings into my life before I stepped into the queendom energy. So I remember I had this one date in Estonia back in the day, where this friend actually drove me to the place where we were going to have the date, which is very rare, almost never happens in Estonia. At least didn't happen for me. So he left the car, and I remained in the car waiting for him to open the door for me. And he was already maybe 500 meters from the car and looking behind, like, where is Crystal? And I was still in the car waiting for him to open the door. And that's what queens will do. So if you want to have kings in your life, you have to also teach them, because many men have never had enough role model of that sexually and intellectually and consciously, and in a practical way also a mature king, who could be that role model that they could, learn from. And this is why me and Michael, we actually are also about to set together several courses and classes about becoming the queen and king you are here to be. And because we know it so well from inside out, and we know that everyone who steps on that level, their lives will change dramatically, and they will be able to be who they are here to be, and also fully happy. So self-realizing themselves as well. So that's so exciting. So this is all for today. I hope this was value for you. If you have some questions, please put them in the comment sections here. If there are questions which you don't want to post publicly, please do it through the messenger on my different pages, or through my private Facebook messenger, and then I can look into that. And if you feel that what I shared here, and you have relationship issues with yourself or others, and you resonate with me or the way I kind of approach things and share things, then let me know. We can have a free 15-20 minute consultation, and then figure out how to go from there. One of the programs which I really love and has huge benefits for many of my clients is the Inner Family Coaching Program, which is a 4-month program where we go through your inner child, inner woman, inner man. And in my case, I couldn't have attracted my inner or my outer king into my life if I hadn't worked really deeply with my inner family. And prior meeting Michael, I worked with my inner family very intensely for 4 years. So that has been like one of my secrets, how a girl from Estonia, a little place with just 600 people, little village, traveled the world to 30 countries, worked with people 20 years internationally, done so many things and learned so many things, got to meet her dream king, and is married, and we got married even in Hawaii and lived in Hawaii. So all of these things, so it's possible. So I'm living the dream I'm sharing with you. So if you would like to live more of your dream, please don't hesitate to take contact, and we'll take it from there. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and let me know if there is anything else I can do for you. I'm so happy to be here for you. Mahalo, all the best. and see you soon.